Hey everyone, we are live yet again. This is actually one of my author's chats of the week, but it technically is over the weekend. So, trying just a different day. We understand that. You can't control everything, unfortunately. But yeah, so let me know what you've been up to, what you're reading. I'm working my way through The Wheel of Time, Book 4. And that's kind of exciting for me because I've been enjoying it. I've been watching the show, or I've watched the first season of the show, and enjoyed it for what it was. I don't know if anybody are Wheel of Time people, but and have thoughts on that, because I know it does deviate a good bit from the books. But that's unfortunately kind of the way it goes when books are converted into movies or TV shows. You know, you have a lot of changes over time. And yeah, there are definitely better ones. Like I actually, I grew up enjoying Harry Potter, so the movies I actually really love them. Even though, yes, you could not capture the richness of the world of the books themselves into the movies. But let's see, I see her now. See if she sees the invite. But yeah, did like that one. Others that I've enjoyed over the years. Let's see. Hello?
Hello,
Can you
can
hear
you hear
me?
me? Hello.
Yes, I do have Norse inspired book covers. Good eye too. I
Hello.
can never tell um what people can see. I don't know if she can hear me. But yeah, that's my books, my novella series. It's called The Guardian Speaker. They're 8 out at the moment. Quick reads, but they're dark retelling of Norse mythology. It's been a lot of fun because I love Norse mythology. I love mythology in general, but the Nordic mythos is one of my favorite. And so I just had to write a series about it and immerse, an immersive experience of Vikings and the Viking people during that era, and setting them right inside Midgard, the world of man, and try to take you on a journey that will lead you through all 9 realms. So it's been a lot of fun. And they're individually out as ebooks, but they're bundled in sets of 4 in paperback
Okay.
and hardcover. And then the first 3, and soon will be the 4th, are out in audiobook narrated by George Blagden, one of the actors who was on the Vikings. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes, I
Yeah,
can
I
hear
think
you. Can
you,
you
you
hear
still
me?
are having some internet issues going on right now because I can't hear you and you're lagging,
Yes.
but it does happen.
Okay, me
As
that's
I was
good.
kind of mentioning a little before you joined live, I've had that happen before with people. Sometimes it was me. You just never know. Well, hopefully you enjoy them. If you go and order them, let me
Yeah.
know. Curious. I always love hearing people's thoughts on the stories and everything, and I have so much. I mean, sometimes I tilt my screen so people can see, but I have replica recreation objects of Viking stuff all over my office. But yeah, do love the Vikings. We shall see if I can if we can connect a little smoothly, and it may not work today. 'Cause sometimes I've had that before where I was trying to talk to someone in on the other side of the U.S. She was on the Pacific side, and of course on the East Coast, and we were just having some issues, and just didn't end up panning out that particular day. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Give it
Can
a
you
few more
hear
minutes.
me?
Try to see if you can connect, and see if we'll get her internet up. But yeah, she was telling me that she had a power outage right before, so I did get that notification. So it just may not work out this time.
Hi, can
I
you hear me
can
now?
I can hear you. You're lagging a lot, but I can hear you.
Okay.
It may just
Okay.
be like you said, that internet. So we will do our best. Okay, and you may have to speak up a little bit because you're
Okay.
also a little quiet. But if you can hear and respond,
Okay.
why don't you try to introduce yourself and your books, and what you write?
So, so I go by the pen name TL Waits, and I'm from South Africa. So I started on a serialized writing platform online, and that is where most of my books are. I do mostly romance, the age gap and forbidden,
Hmm.
and one is like most of my readers are on the serialized platform. So I wanted to dive into self-publishing my own books. So I've given that a try. So I have a few books on Amazon and KU.
Yeah.
And because I'm mostly romance, I want to try other genres as time goes on. So yeah, that is a bit about my books so far.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love talking with authors, especially who write different genres, because I am a epic fantasy author, and so those are my three series kind of fall into that bracket. But it's always interesting to talk to someone who writes a different genre and find out what inspired you to write in that particular genre and what made you fall in love. Like you said, you write romance literature, so what made you fall in love with that?
I used to be reading a lot when I was young, so I fell in love with romance. So it's still my kind of genre to read. So that made me want to write my own story, like romance stories,
Mhm.
and write something that I wanted to read. And when I started that, the amount of readers that I got and loved my stories, it made me feel that I'm doing the right thing. So then I continued at it. Um, so that is where my love for romance came from, reading a lot.
Hey, I love that. I mean, I think that's a lot of different authors. I mean, you have to love reading, or why are you writing a book? If you don't like books, then why become a writer? And thank you for the comment. I see a comment pop up on my side. Hope you enjoy The Guardian Speaker, because I was mentioning one of my series is, since I again write the epic fantasy side of things. One of my series is based off Norse mythology. I love mythology from all over the world, and I try to incorporate as much as possible throughout my various series. Especially, I have a series that's a magical multiverse, so it deals with 12 different worlds, all sorts of mythological creatures, beings, entities that are pulled from lore worldwide, and I absolutely love that. So I think for me, my falling in love with writing, not only did I enjoy reading, but really just enjoyed fantasy and myth and legends and lore. And so that just pulled me into the genre of fantasy, and then epic fantasy kind of took its thing. So tell me about your books.
Yeah.
You Are they all in the same series, or are they independent books? Because I'm a series writer, but I'm just curious, are yours in a series by chance, or are they independent of each other?
Um,
Hello.
some of them are independent. So currently I'm busy with an ongoing book on
Whoop, we're breaking up for a second there. I'll see if I can get you back. And again, I know this
magical.
one has a little bit of service lag today. We're also trying to talk halfway across the world, so the fact that we can actually do this and by any means is pretty cool. Sorry, can you say that again? Because I know I lost you there for a moment.
So some of my books are independent,
Okay.
and with my and two of my books, which is on the serialized platform called Dreame, those two are, okay, I can't say like they do form both part of the same book,
Yeah. Okay.
like the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be read as standalone. So
Yeah.
so so that's the only two books that is kind of connected to each
And
other.
how many do you have
Yeah.
overall? Because it sounds like you have a number of them. Looking on your platform, I feel like I see multiple multiple book covers.
So I have about 5 on Dreame, which is the serialized platform, and then I have um a children's book out also, which is on Amazon, and then I have a poetry book out as well, which is also on Amazon. So yeah, that's about 7, but I have so many books lined up that I am about to write, and you don't know where
Yay!
to start with book because the ideas are constantly forming in my mind about new books to write. So I think I have about, I can't say how many books in my, like that I'm scheduled, but I think it's up until 2025 that I
Oh,
have
wow.
scheduled.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kind of similar to you in the sense that when I write books, I always have new stories, but because I write in series, I have to try to at least finish a series before I start something new. So right now I'm doing 2 series at the same time, which is very complicated. And I see some new people jumping on. For me, I write epic fantasy, and I have 3 at the moment. One's a Viking retelling for adults. It's very dark and gritty. One is a set of 4. It's my only complete series. It's a shapeshifter, a war-based shapeshifter fantasy, and it is darker. I cater it to new adults. And then my young adults, I have 3 actually at the moment. My poster doesn't show as many as I have at the moment, and that's the magical multiverse. So that one has a little bit of everything, and it's a lot of fun for me. And I've been enjoying that one as well. And all mine are on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, Kindle, all that stuff. And some of them at this moment have made it to Audible and hopefully continue to going forward that way. And but yes, I do write dark fantasy on some. And so I'm trying to answer a couple questions. I have
Okay.
watched Berserk, which is Viking based, and she writes fantasy, romance. Sorry, I'm writing fantasy. She writes romance. Yes, fantastic. But yeah, no, I love. Yeah. Sorry, I was lost my train of thought. It's early in the morning for me, so I'm drinking my coffee, and because it's still my first cup, I don't know if I'm fully awake yet.
That's understandable.
That's the fun thing of trying to talk to someone on the other side of the world, literally. It's just the different times. But yeah, for me, and you were talking about Dreame as a serial platform. I've never heard Dreame before, so can you let me know a little bit about it?
So Dreame is like a serialized online writing platform. So each day you can release a chapter. It's almost like you're watching a series,
Yeah.
but then each day an episode is released.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe at the end you leave it off at a cliffhanger, and then the readers would wanna read
Mm-hmm.
further. So that is the platforms that I write on as well. And you do get, you know, great readers. They comment on it, and whether you're doing the right thing or not. What I also love in my books is the angst. So I write with emotion. So because it's romance, it's a bit of realistic things that happen in the story. So I try to put my own emotions in the book and the way my characters feel. And my goal is to always have my readers feel the same way that my characters are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So the readers would, at the end of the chapter, they would comment, and they would, in the comments, they would say, oh, they're crying, or, they're sad and heartbroken and all of that. And for me, it's like, yes, I just reached that goal. So I made them feel something. So
Yeah,
um,
I
I
love
have
that. No,
my
oh,
no, it's okay.
I was just gonna say that that's I think the one of the goals for writers of all sorts, absolutely all sorts, is the fact that you want to reach readers on some kind of emotional level. You want them to
Yeah,
feel something. So be it sorrow, joy, anger, whatever it is, if they're feeling something very deeply and, passionately about it, that's kind of one of those things to you want to reach readers on that level. Of course, on my dark fantasy side, usually the feelings aren't as good as maybe my more optimistic fantasy. But you want them to feel, and maybe
Yeah.
it's some passion or whatever it is, being a romance writer you want them to feel. So I totally agree, that is fantastic to have readers reach out and comment about that, because that's really interesting. The only serial platform I know of is new. It's the Kindle Vella, so it's Amazon's version. I guess I'm
I would,
assuming they're competing with platforms like Dreame, but that's really neat.
yeah.
I haven't talked to too many people who enjoy writing in the serial form, but I think it's fascinating.
I do enjoy writing on those because it's every day you get to release a chapter. You don't need to, you know, wait for months for a whole book to be published.
Mhm.
Because at the same time you get to interact with your readers, and that's actually what I love about it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Um, No, yeah, I mean, I'll have to look into Dreame and see a little bit about that. But for me, I think the challenge would be writing a shorter snippet and again, making sure it ends in some kind of cliffhangers to keep people interested to read the next
Yeah,
time you post. And do you post yours weekly, daily? How often do you?
daily,
Wow.
daily. Yeah, because they have like a word count that you can reach at the end of the month. So most of the time I write 50,000 words a month. So in
Wow.
total, there's one book that is complete on Dream, and it's 3,100 words in total. That's how much I've written in one book
Pretty
before.
cool. But I mean, that's the neat thing. It's like it's just a different way of approaching telling a story, because I guess in a serial fashion, kind of like certain shows and manga and stuff like that, that goes on for seasons and seasons and seasons, you can continue it depending on the storyline and depending on, what your objective, but to tentatively continue it on forever, depending on, again, your genre. Like for me, again, my fantasy has to have like hardcore endings and reasoning, but like I can see, certain romance styles. I can see obviously mystery books, have like mini mysteries going throughout, but you could write that for a long time.
Yes. Just throwing plots and twists and all that stuff.
Of course, of course. So when you're creating a story, do you have an ending in mind, or are you just writing
I do
until the
have an ending in mind when I write it, but during the story is where I have all the drama, the plots, the twists, which sometimes can frustrate the reader because they don't know the ending yet. So all I tell them is that um they need to um like, what can I say? They need to just follow the journey of the characters, and they will get to the end,
Mhm.
because sometimes we can have our disagreements um when they comment, because they don't know how it's going to end. So when they do get to the end and they see, oh, but it actually ended well, and I just told him there was nothing to worry about, just to get through a roller coaster of emotions. So yeah.
So when you're writing, do you have a word count? Like, because you were talking about how long some of your stories are, do you try to keep it a certain range, or you just write until it feels this is time to end it?
I keep it at a certain range, but when something comes up during the month and I'm not consistent with it, and then I just carry on writing. So my aim for this current ongoing book, my aim is for 300,000 words, so it will probably be done by the end of July, because I want to start writing my other book.
Hey,
So, yeah.
that's pretty cool. Like being able to, um, I love when you have your goal in mind. Oh, thanks. have your goal in mind and you are, moving forward, going to reach it. Because one of my issues is I always have like a deadline in mind when as I'm an indie, I try to set deadlines. I try to, make sure I'm releasing books at a steady pace, but I sometimes always feel like there's like some kind of something arises and it slows down the process, and then I'm scrambling to kind of, meet my own goals, and no matter how big of a buffer I put in there, I'm always like, I feel like sprinting to catch up.
Yes.
This spring was very bad. So that is kind of cool that you have that consistency, that daily I'm able to produce and write and release, your next, segment. I don't know if you call them segments, stories, excerpts, what you call them, but your next posting of your story. Well, thank you.
Yeah, the next chapter, yeah.
Yeah, the next chapter. Again, it's more, you think I would know book terms at this point in time. But yeah, so may we know what the next story's title, or do you have an idea of that yet, or are you not going to release that? Hey, you don't have to tell me.
Next story, I am still deciding which one to start with. Because I have one that it's a age gap.
Hmm.
It's a best friend's dad type of story.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking of starting that one, but then I also have something that came to me to write recently, which is to do with, I told you, like the blackouts that the power outages that happen. So here in South Africa we call it load shedding. So it's
Hmm.
blackout. So we are given time schedules of when our power would be out.
Uh,
Um, so it's either 2 hours or 4 hours, depending how
mhm.
long they want to put it off for.
Yep.
Um, even in the evening as well. So it's not like the whole country is is dark. It's just certain areas in the country. So maybe two areas at the same time goes off for 2 hours or 4 hours, but the rest stays on and so on. So I was like, when it and I was just thinking about it. I was like, I want to write a story in a different genre, which is the survival and apocalyptic
Ooh, I
type
love
of
apocalyptic
genre.
stories. Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, to write this story, which will be about the civilians have to survive during the evening when there is load shedding. But when it's load shedding and it's dark, zombies and vampires come out. So they have to
Oh, I like that.
um, try to defend themselves and survive until the power goes back on. So obviously the government has to try to keep the lights on. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it
I like
there.
that. I would definitely read that. That's definitely one of those style of books that are my taste, but I do love apocalyptic kind of stories, and of course anything with a fantasy element, so like you said, vampires or other kind of things that come out in the dark and, you know hunt people. That's my jam. I love that. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because like for me, again, since I'm writing a series, I know what my next book and my next book will be, at least until these two series are complete. And then I have to decide which next story, what new story do I want to go? Because kind of like you, I want to dabble. I still think I'm going to stick with epic fantasy for a while, but I love kind of finding different kind of subgenres within that umbrella to kind of play around with. When I write, I stick with one point of view of my characters so far, but I would
Yeah.
love to expand to kind of deal with a story that deals with multiple points of view. So when you write, do you stick with one point of view, or do you kind of jump between different characters' heads, if that makes sense?
I do the one person's point of view, but
Mhm.
sometimes, like with the two main characters that the story is focused on, I usually have both of the point of views in the story, so that gives the readers a feel of what both of them are feeling or what goes through their minds.
Mhm.
So I would have like a point of view type of story like that. But for me personally, I think I struggle with third person because I'm so used to the first person. So yeah,
Understand that. I can get that. Yeah, I'm the kind of the opposite. I stick with third person writing that has definitely a lot of first person undertones in the sense that I do like to figure out how to get into the head of my main character, but yeah, for whatever reason I'm more comfortable with third person style stories. And I think that's because only recently did I start picking up books that are written in first person. So for me, it was just very strange to read a story that was written in first person. But yeah, I have a comment popping up saying first person makes it feel like I'm the character. That's true.
yeah,
And again, with your style of writing, and you want people to feel again those emotions and really connect with your character, it makes sense that first person is
yes.
a prime choice for you. Definitely. So I saw some of your covers on your personal page and or profile, sorry, terms again, warning. But who designs your book covers? Because they're these beautiful, rich colors in the background of your images. And so who designs your book covers? Is that something you do yourself or did you pay someone to do it?
I do it myself. I use Canva. Yeah,
Hey, that's
and
nice.
yeah. And also with the children's book, I did all the illustrations myself, also
Wow.
via Canva. So I didn't know how to do these things, and I really wanted to, especially the children's book. The children's book is based on overcoming bullies,
Uh-huh.
which gives positive messages to children,
Hmm.
positive informations to help them through because um, during my whole schooling career, I've been bullied, so I know what it's like. I'm sure most of us have been through that. So I just wanted to write something for kids to also, you know, help them. And like with the illustrations, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. But then I watched a tutorial on YouTube, and that helped me. And ever since, I've just done things like what I set my mind to.
Yeah.
So the children's book was the first uh, physical copy that I've had written.
Mm-hmm.
So then next is one of the romance books, which is called A Burning Rose. I did the format, I did the covers, everything myself. And then I also recently published my poetry book, which is also about overcoming bullies. And on the cover, it's a picture of myself, but on Canva, I used some of the effects, which is the painting effect. And it came
Mm-hmm.
out so beautifully. And recently, my country had a book on it for the first time. So I participated in that.
Oh,
And I had my physical books.
that's so neat.
And and the poetry book with myself on it was nearly sold out.
Wow.
So I
I love
have like a lot of copies of my other books left. So I don't know what to do with them.
Hey, well, maybe you hey, books don't go bad. And yeah, I see a bunch of applause coming up for you on my screen. So there you go. But yeah, books don't go bad. They have shelf life. So the next time you have a fair, carnival, whatever, you can just bring them out and use them for your booth again. And so
Yeah.
that yeah, and it's nice to have copies that you can sign and gift out or give or sell direct,
Yeah.
or depending on what you want to do with your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
Oh, sorry. Continue.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I was just saying I always like to keep some authors' copies on hand so I can have them. And if anybody does want a signed copy and reaches out to me, because I've had people ask on this platform saying, "Hey, do you sell signed copies?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." So you never know. You could
Yeah.
sell them that way. Though
Yeah.
international shipping cost is very expensive. I have figured this out.
Yes, it is. Because I've been looking into it. I'm like, I have to find a suitable shipping
hmm
like that, I can afford.
hmm
Um, yeah, it's quite expensive.
Yes, it can be. Yes, I ran a Kickstarter to fund my third book, which I don't have a cover of to point
Okay.
at, but my third book of my young adult series this spring or at the beginning of the year, and I left it open for international. Because some people, keep it just within the country because it's more affordable. Well, I was like, well, I want people to read the book, so I left it open, and definitely did not have a clue of how expensive that was going to be. And so when I was shipping out the books, I was just like, oh, next year I had to decide, or next time I do it, I have to decide if I have to bump up the shipping costs for international or just keep it within the US, which is unfortunate because I want people to read my stuff. I want them to enjoy it, but it's a little
Mhm.
pricey. It's a
Can you
little
tell
pricey.
me a bit about Kickstarter? Because I've heard about it, but I'm not so sure what it entails and how does it work.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work to set up, especially the first time. Now that I've done everything, I kind of have one to know that what to do and when, and two, I kind of have templates ready because you do have to take some time and background, um, time, effort, research, to create your page. Because if you've ever gone on Kickstarter and looked up, type in books and see what's going on right now for Kickstarters and literature, but that's what I kind of did was research and see what was doing well and kind of mimicked their format because you come up with your own banner, you come up with images to embed and the content, and you have to talk about why you're raising the money, what your stuff's about, who you are, a lot of that, um, and understand you have to come up with all your what you're offering. So depending on you and your country and what where you sell, and I'm restricted with ebooks because I go through Kindle Unlimited. And because of that program, I can't distribute ebooks once they publish live. But because of the Kickstarter, I was able to send ebooks out before it officially published. So it allowed some people to get the ebooks early. And, I was like, for the same as what you're pretty much going to be paying once it goes live, you can buy it from me direct and people like that. And so I came up with different levels because I have paperbacks and hardcovers. So I had different levels of the book itself that I was fundraising for. Plus, because it's part of a series, I offered different tiers of like, okay, do you want all the books in the series so far? Do you want some of the special things like I came up with character art and other gifts to distribute? So there's a lot of work and prep work that goes into it, but more often than not, the authors that I've talked to who've been on it have really enjoyed it. You just have to make sure you do the time research. And you can always, if you are interested, after the live, I can point you in directions like I had an author on this platform. His name's Adam Beswick. He's a UK author and he does very, very, very well all across the board. But he was the one who helped talk to me and give me tips and tricks on how to start my Kickstarter for my book. And he was telling me, he was like, my first ones did not do well. I didn't know really what I was doing, but here's some tricks and tips to help you do better. And so it was a successful first run. I have a good basis. And so next time when I publish the fourth book, I'll have everything I have for this prior one and then come out with new stuff as well to kind of, again, have different tiers and offerings. And like any platform, you have to start building your awareness that you're on it. So as you probably know, being on TikTok, it takes, whatever platform you're on, it takes a little bit of time to be on there. I see a
Yeah.
comment popping up saying I secretly spy on Adam. He's living my dream. Yes. Yeah, A.P. Beswick is he's been, and he says it, some of it has been luck and some of it is, dedication, skill, and he knows how to market his books, and I wish I knew how to market mine as well as he did.
Marketing is hard, especially when you like self-publish too. It's like
Yeah.
trying to get your books out there as much as possible. But recently, with self-promotion as well, especially with my serialized books, I've been lagging behind because I'm so busy with writing so much and with the events that came up, like such as BookCon and all of that. So 2 days ago, I just started again to self promote my books and market. It's really hard.
It is, but it doesn't have to. Well, you don't have to be like me and try to be on all the platforms. You can do what's probably wiser and pick one or two. This platform being one of the best ones at this moment for bookish people, but and just concentrate on one or two social media platforms and really push your, who you are, what you're about, what you're writing, and yeah, you don't have to be super frazzled. Like I have such a complicated publishing and posting schedule for all my platforms, and when I move content around and what content I repurpose and what content I make, it can get stressful.
Again.
But it doesn't have to be. There are definitely some authors that are on only one or two platforms and they do very well, but it's because they master that particular platform. They put their time and effort that they have into doing what you need to do and trying to figure out the algorithms. Who knows these algorithms?
Yeah.
So you are on here. What are you elsewhere? Like, are you on any other kind of social media, or do you have an author's website? I always like to, let you tell your viewers that. And when I repurpose this on YouTube in a few weeks, I'll post your links below too, so people can find you.
Okay. So on TikTok, as you know, and I have a author's Facebook page, which is author PL Waits, and um, my website, it's still halfway done, so I will get there with my website.
Yeah.
So that's only the social media platforms that I'm on at the moment. I'm on Instagram as well with the PL Waits,
Mm-hmm.
so it's 3.
There you go. Hey, that's a lot. That's a good way to a good number to keep a good balance. There you go. That's the words I want. But and Instagram is one that's always interesting to me because it's one I wish I was better at. Because I'm not good at beautiful. I feel like they're very visual on Instagram, so I'm not great at coming up with like the little setups for your book to make them look really pretty. But I have been reposting videos that I design on this platform there, and that seems to be drawing attention, which is nice because it took me a while
Yeah,
to like figure out what to do.
yeah. So I also have recently I started my own podcast, which on the podcast I give like writing tips,
Mm-hmm.
and I also share each Sunday one poem out of my poetry book. So I call it Poetry Sunday. And then on Fridays I do the writing tips. But I'm looking at also doing book reviews on it and having author interviews as well. So that I have to test out.
Yeah. And stuff like that. I mean, that's another dedication of time and energy to not only do those podcasts, but you also have to come up with the content, or if you're doing interviews, coming up and arranging those kind of interviews. And that's why when I started doing these lives with other authors, I had to come up with a rhythm on how to, dedicate again the time and figure out how to network with people so I can have other authors pop on and, talk about your own experiences, because everybody's experiences are very different, yet
Yes.
oddly similar in various
Yes.
ways. But yeah, so let me ask you some questions just about you. For instance, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book, I have so many, but
It's okay. A lot of people have multiple. It's fine.
I think there's a series out that actually made me want to really write romance.
Hmm.
The Age Gap Forbidden specifically. It's called Off Balance by Lucia Franco. So her series gave me a book hangover still to this day. And I really lost it. Because I wanna like Lucia Franco is an author that made me want to write the way she wrote, with
Wow.
pulling at your heartstrings and taking you through hell and back. I wanted to do that, and I did it.
I'm gonna drag you, but like you said, by the heartstrings all over the world and then pop you back. Yes. Oh my goodness, that's hysterical. No, that's wonderful when you find an author that you read a book and you're like, wow, I look up to you. I want to do that, and it motivates you to try to, rise to the challenge and be the best you can be. I do have a comment popping up saying, okay, talking about, sorry, yes, my book backboard. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I advise pretty much everybody that I talk to. I designed this one on Vistaprint, but Canva would probably do the similar thing, where you inverse your book covers, so when you do these lives or videos, it looks like it's the right way, which is fantastic. But yeah, my book series, I have three. They're an epic fantasy. I do like longer series. So my only complete series, sorry, I'm answering one question, are four books, and that is a shifter war-based series called the Incarn Saga. I have three books in a portal fantasy for young adults, so magical multiverse, pretty much a free-for-all of all sorts of mythological creatures, beast beings. And then I have a novella series. So it's a dark retelling of Norse mythology. Vikings meets dark fantasies for adults. There are 8 of them now. There will be probably close to 16. Think more of Wheel of Time in the sense of I do like um, kind of more the sweeping epic side of fantasy. Sorry, that was a question. Thank you. I always love people asking questions about bookish stuff. So throw
Yeah.
questions out here. Um, but yeah, no, I love that. And I totally blanked what. Oh yes, favorite book. So that's really neat. Yeah, when people ask me that question, I'm like, how do I pick? No, I understand. That's like a cruel question to ask because they're so hard for people to decide sometimes one one book versus another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for reading Guardian Speaker. I hope you enjoyed it. But I love when I hear. How do you feel when you hear someone? Well, let me ask. Has anybody come up and be like, "I was reading your book and it was fantastic." Like, how do you take a compliment? Because some people don't know how to handle a compliment.
Um, well, in my country, I would say I've never had that experience like before, because the reading books in my country isn't so great, if I can put it that way. But I mostly cater to the international
Hmm.
readers. So basically most of my compliments and stuff comes from online.
Yes, I'm
People
with
that
you there.
so yeah.
But still, even when you get compliments online, how do you take because some people are like, "Thank you," or some people are like, "Oh, I don't know, was it really good?" How do you handle a compliment? Because some people shy away, other people are dismissive of someone else. Sometimes, like I do, will run about and be like, "Someone likes my book." I can't
I've
believe it.
had I've had a lot of comments where readers would say they love my book, and they would say really nice things, and I'm getting that most of the time. So it just makes me feel good, and also that I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes it will make you feel like you want to cry tears of happiness because you didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, obviously, there will be the negatives, but
Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a
I
negative review
don't
out there.
really, I don't,
Negative comment, no
I
matter
don't,
what.
I don't really, yeah, I don't really think about it. Although sometimes it will be hurtful, but I think it would take me a few hours to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now there's recently just one comment that somebody said about my writing, and then it started going to my head like my writing is not good enough, and
Yeah.
all of this. I'm like, no, don't think that way. There's so many other readers out there that actually loves your writing and stuff. So I had to put a stop to that negative thoughts.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like for me, like my rule of thumb is that when you get a negative comment or you get negative comments or reviews or whatever they are, try to see if there's any, ignore the independent ones and look if there's a trend. If there's a bunch of people saying, hey, bring up awareness of, hey, there it feels like there's a plot hole or something that wasn't wrapped up the right way, maybe that is something you want to look into. But if it's one person, it may be someone's bad day. You may not be, just the writing they
Yeah.
like. It could be whatever. I've mentioned this multiple times. I think it's hysterical. I had a poor review, and the funny thing is the text of the review was like the book was great, blah blah blah, all this positive stuff, but I had like a low star rating because the last sentence was the reason why I'm rating it like this was because it was not a standalone book. And I was like, but it said it was a first book on the series. Someone just rated it low because it was a standalone, was not a standalone book when I write in series. And so you never know why, what is going on in
Yeah.
someone's head when they write a negative review or comment, but sometimes you just have to grin and bear it
Yeah.
and be like, just wasn't for
Some
you. It just wasn't for you.
and sometimes I think when I started on the serialized platform, there was just one reader that, was really mean in terms of ended up calling me names and all of that. So that kind of, emotionally, they
Mm-hmm.
kind of hurt me. But then I just carried on what I was doing. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you get those comments which is really unnecessary. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. And it's one of those things that I think every author has to, I mean, we'll go through because the first time you get a great review, it feels fantastic. The first time you hear some negative remark, it hurts. It really does hurt because it's just like you put so much energy and love and effort into your writing and the books and what you're creating, and yeah, when someone doesn't like it, it kind of is like, oh, that hurts me so bad. It does. It does. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We are heading towards the end of the hour, so I just want to make sure I at least ask, because I always want to make sure I fit this question in. Is there anything that topic-wise that you want to talk about, or any questions that you have that we have not asked or dealt with as of yet?
For me, at this point, we've covered everything, I think.
That's fine. Well, let me ask then you a couple more questions. For instance, you have now, you said you write your serial series. You have a variety. You actually write in a variety of genres. Um, Children's book, poetry. You're talking about potentially branching into apocalyptic fantasy fiction. And so, with that said, do you feel that makes it harder to reach the right readers when you're writing in so many very different genres, or not? Like for me, I'd stick with the bubble of epic fantasy, but my underneath it bracket very differently from age range and other subgenres that sometimes it's a little hard to be like, this is what I write.
For me, like if I decide to publish that or write on a serialized platform, there's so many genres and there's so many readers. So on the serialized platform, those readers choose the type of genre. So I know the most popular genre on Dream is werewolf.
Mm.
So there are some people that, or most readers that also likes the fantasy and all of that. But they have different types of genres on there to write, and I will see how it goes because I do also have my regular readers that is with me on every book because sometimes they just want to read your book because they like your writing and all of that. So I will see how it goes when I start the apocalyptic genre.
No, I get that. But that should be fun. And I did see a comment roll up saying, that apocalyptic fiction is something, they like. I know that's a very popular subgenre or genre. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I have not written anything that qualifies as apocalyptic, even though I have like developed worlds and multiverse where, you know, great tragedies have happened to different populace or whatever, but it's not technically apocalyptic fiction. So I'll be definitely interested in hearing your progress heading towards that if you do decide that is the next one you want to write. And I love the background idea of it. I think that's very new and fresh and a lot of fun. And for me, I guess one of my other questions I have for you is how long have you been writing? Because well, that may be a trick question. When did you first start putting out? I'm assuming you started with a serial, your first serial story, because for me, my first one published back in 2016, and so it's been a few years to kind of like just get the momentum building. So how about you? When did you first release your first chapter on a
I
serial, or way back when?
I've released my first chapter, I think it was the 14th of March, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm in this for 2 years, two
Right.
years and going.
That's fantastic. I mean, you sound like you're a very prolific writer, being able to put out 50,000 words a month. That wows me. But on the other hand, I do spend a lot of my day marketing and advertising and trying to be better about it. And that takes away from time actually writing. If I actually wrote, I may not be that far behind you. But that's fantastic though. And being able to produce so much work and have so many stories continue to flow in your head. And I know not all authors are that fortunate because there are a lot that have the writer's block or finish a story and then go into that panic of what comes next. And so it's nice to know that there are other authors that are continuously like, I know my next 5 stories. I just have to get the time to get to that point to write them.
Yes, yes,
But that's so fantastic.
thank you.
Well, no, it's good. Again, learn to take a compliment. It is a good thing. I
Yes,
need to I need to listen to my own words, listen to my own advice because but yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for coming out and trying to arrange this chat with me today because again, we are on opposite sides of the world. The timing is always hard to kind of figure that out
yes,
when you're working with someone who is so far away. But that is one of those things. I love this platform because it makes it so easy to communicate and meet and talk with and network with people worldwide from all kind of walks of life all over. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And so thank you for taking some of your time of your day to come out and join and chit chat about your books and writing and everything.
and thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity as well to speak with you. Because
And I'm glad.
sometimes I watch your videos, and I'm like, you are such a fun person.
Oh, well, thank you.
I like talking to you.
Thank you.
So,
See, take a compliment. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And yeah, I really, I just want everybody who, loves to read, loves books, be it on the writing side and publishing side or the reading side, um, just get to know each other better. And, it's always fun. It's so much fun to meet people. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, they truly thank you for coming out and joining and talking about your work and everything. Because, like I said, I've been following you for a little while, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And this is a great place to work when you're talking about working on marketing your books. It's a great place to do it. I have good faith that you'll be able to do just fine.
Yes, I believe so.
Well, thank you, and I'm going to call it a day because it is early still. I should probably finish my breakfast or brunch at this point. But thank you, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll let you know when I repurpose this on my YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.